Hello. I'm gonna watch this little clip, 10 minutes, of the serial killer who got kidnapped by the wrong girl. And yeah, just gonna react to it. So.
Like the first time I did it, I couldn't really believe I did it. They've tried to portray me like I was some kind of a creature, right? I was just like everybody else out there. Probably 99.9% of the time, I'm as normal as he is, or anybody else is. But there's that 1% of the time, or whatever, that there's some kind of a problem there.
He was a monster. He is still a monster until the day he takes his last breath.
It was pretty easy to tell from the very minute I grabbed McVey that she wasn't like the others.
Bobby DeLon, thank you. Thank you for choosing me instead of another 17-year-old little girl.
And that's probably why she's still alive, walking and talking today.
I had made my mind up that night when I came home from work that I was going to end my life. I even sat down and wrote my suicide note out. I left around 2 a.m. when I got off my shift. I remember being happy. I was happy. I know when I go home, I'm going to end my life. I was happy. I'm going to be free.
While she bikes through the dark, empty streets, she notices a red car parked in front of a church.
I don't know why. It seemed odd to me. And I just kind of shrugged it off. It's like, God, I'll be okay.
She ignores her instinct, but the driver of the car is hiding behind a parked van.
Next thing I was just yanked off my bicycle, horrifically, just so forceful. Knocked the breath out of me. I felt the barrel of a gun to my left temple. I remember him putting a blindfold on my face. I was ordered to take all my clothes off. He ties me up, ligatures on my wrists, ankles.
Throws me in the car, yells at me to keep my eyes shut, and that if I showed him a good time, he was not going to kill me.
My grandmother's boyfriend used to put a gun to my head every time he molested me for 3 years. It was nothing new to me.
Ooh, that's some fucked up shit. That's fucked up.
Lisa does everything the man says, as she is threatened with a gun. Then the man starts the car and takes her away. Lisa sitting blindfolded in the passenger seat, her clothes bundled at her feet.
I had no clue where we were going. This is going to be it. This is going to be it. Rape and death. Next thing, to my surprise, my abductor makes me get dressed.
The man removes her bindings from her wrists and her ankles, but keeps her blindfolded. Lisa is taken out of the car and into an apartment building. Once inside, she's thrown onto a bed.
He raped me. Any way you can imagine, he raped me. Very painful. Very painful. I would just go far away. I would sometimes pretend I was in a field of flowers, a happy place. I would just disconnect from the rest of the world and just become completely numb. Tired of living, just tired of being abused. I didn't see any other way out. I didn't want to live. I remember thinking of my family, my sister, my brothers. What are they going to do without me? And I kept thinking, I got to get out of this some way, somehow. I have to get out of this. I had to reach down deep in my soul. I just had a new sense of wanting to survive. I would do whatever it took.
She asked,
That's pretty weird if you think about it. Someone wants to kill herself, gets abducted by a criminal. Because if I'm correct, she was deciding that she's gonna do it that night. She's gonna be killing herself and then, be happy. It's like, and the moment she gets abducted and abused, she decides she wanna live again. It's weird. Maybe because, in those moments of trauma, those heavy, what happened to her, she like she said, she go to a happy place, and maybe because she went to that place, she realized the good parts of her life, like what I think sometimes people who are driven to suicide, not all of them of course, but some people who are driven to suicides, they're just in a vicious cycle of negative thinking. It's like the brain just goes circles and circles of whatever negative thing it is, and they, that's it. That's their whole focus. They're so drawn into that one negative thing that they don't see anything else, which makes them, of course, suicidal. Because if you only think about that one really big negative thing in your life, then you become suicidal. That's logical, I would say. So for whatever reason, for how weird the reason might be, maybe because she was in that room, having those terrible things done to her, she tried to go to a different place in her own mind instead of the negative place where she used to be before the rape even. And because of that, maybe she decided to go for a living, because she realized there are still beautiful things.
Asks to go to the bathroom. He refuses. She insists, claiming she would pee right there in the bed if he denies her to go. He allows her to go in, where she could be alone for a moment. Her plan has worked.
I was putting my fingerprints everywhere. The vanity mirror, on the walls, to show the police I was fighting, trying to leave my marks to say, hey, listen, I was here. I was one of his victims.
She knows that to survive, she would need to gain his trust, so she begins a dangerous mind game.
There was a moment we had a conversation. I had asked him, why was he doing this to me? He said, due to a recent breakup, he was getting back at women in general. And I played at his heartstrings.
Getting back at women in general. It's, I think, something which is common. Like a lot of serial killers, they have, no killers and rapists, they have like a hatred towards women. And I think it is because, well, especially in, a society nowadays, there are a lot of men who are just not, they are just falling outside of the boat because of, Tinder, mainstream media, media, look at Facebook, Twitter, Tinder. A beautiful woman can have so many men nowadays. Like an 80-year-old pretty woman, she can not conquer the world, but she can have like almost the whole world wanting to have her by her side. And then you have a man who's like, I don't know, let's say he's 35 years old, living still in by his mother, or having a really small shitty room, not having a good job, and getting rejected again and again and again by women. At some point you get a frustration, like it's like a bomb, you keep adding powder to it, and then it becomes an obsession. Because why does it become an obsession? And I need to think about that one. I think it becomes maybe an obsession because the fact that he is not able to get women is like symbolic for his failure in life. Like it's like he has a lot of failures which he might not want to admit to. He wants to not see it, but the fact that he can get a woman is probably the biggest eye opener for him, that he's a failure, that he's not good enough. And that's probably something which you don't want to see, because we wants to see that. So then there are two different type of ways you can go about it. It's either I'm not good enough, so I need to change, or am I not good enough, or are women just evil? And because women, they're just evil. That's why they don't treat me the way that's why they don't treat me good. They go in like it's a weird, maybe even like a type of victim mentality. Like, women don't like me because they're evil and they hate me, and and I try everything, like the nice guy. So, and that can build up, and at some point, that frustration goes so high. Like, just think about yourself when you have something which is really small. Give a good example. Well, I mean, you must have felt frustration sometimes in your life, right? Well, try to imagine that feeling of frustration, but keep that up for 10 to 15 years. You can go do some really crazy stuff if that frustration keeps going up that high.
He said due to a recent breakup, he was getting back at women in general. And I played at his heartstrings. I said, listen, I can be your girlfriend. We don't have to tell anybody how we met. You seem like a pretty nice guy. I had to show he had control and that I respected him, no matter what. One slip, and I would have been dead.
And that's when he said, no, I can't keep you. He told me to get some rest, get some sleep. It'd be over in a little while.
Around 3:30 a.m., the man takes Lisa.
I can't keep you. I don't think he sees her as a human being, more of like an object. I think that's what I think. Maybe like an object of his frustration. Because again, he's of course generalizing. Again, I'm taking my revenge against women. So he doesn't see her as a person. It's a woman. So it's a group. It's a woman in general. It's not an individual. So he's taking revenge on all women, and he doesn't see her as a person, but as all women.
Lisa out into the car. He drives her off blindfolded again. She starts to see her end is near.
As he's putting the blindfold on me, I was trying to tighten my jaw so it would be a little loose.
Everything that I saw, hear, touch, smell, taste, whatever, I would just store it in my memory bank. In case if I did get out of this alive, I can go to the place to get him caught.
I remember the car being loud, like it needed a tune-up. I remember the lights passing on the interstate. I could see it beneath my blindfold. I'm trying to see my surroundings, I'm trying to see where I'm at. I knew we were in interstate because the air sound changes, it gets strong. I saw 2 hotels. These 2 hotels were at the intersection of Hillsborough Avenue, he proceeds west. Interstate 275. I remember seeing a silver piercing, shining light hitting my eyes. It was the word Magnum on the dashboard. He decides to pull into a rear parking lot. Tell me to get out of the car. But Grace gonna kill me here. He told me when I got out, I wanted to stay there for 5 minutes. I was frozen. My mind's racing. Should I run? Should I walk? Is he watching me? Is he pointing the gun at me right now? Is he gonna run me over by his car?
But he didn't. The man left her there and drove off. After minutes that seemed like an eternity, Lisa finally decides to risk taking off her blindfold.
I took my blindfold off, and the first thing I saw was this beautiful oak tree. I fell to my knees and I started crying. I knew right there and then my life was going to change forever. To me, it was a sign of a new branch of life.
Now wanting to live my life.
But her struggle is not over yet. When she gets to the police station, she tells a detective everything that happened to her. But because Lisa has such composure, she doesn't look like other victims. And so the detective doesn't believe her. Lisa gets angrier and angrier, but she can't let her kidnapper get away and hurt someone else.
That's crazy. It's incredible that there are police officers like that. You know, no matter what the accusation is or what happened, like if someone comes to you and says she's raped, no matter how she looks, what she's acting like, doesn't matter. You should always look into it, I think. Like that's just laziness. That's some stupid bullshit.
We were finding a body, it averaged out about every 2 weeks. You know if you don't solve it soon, someone else is going to die.
I was asked by my detective to go in and talk to her, and I did talk to her. I took my wallet out of my jacket and showed her the picture of my daughter. And I told her, this is my daughter, she's your age. There's nothing I won't do to protect her. And I'm going to protect you.
I started crying. When I was describing the details of how my doctor looked through my hands, small mustache, pockmarked face, small ears.
I'd never seen a victim of a violent crime like this that had such recall.
The breakthrough was the Rhodes girl's description of this car, the catalyst for a 24-hour surveillance of Long.
He gave me a photo lineup, 6 pictures. I said, that's your guy. Just take your time. You gotta take your time. I'm telling you, that's your guy. He's the one that abducted me.
We were confident we had the right suspect. It was imperative for us to move as quickly as possible.
All of a sudden they said, we've got him. And they ran out into the parking lot. They handcuffed him, put him in the car, read him his rights.
Late this evening, investigating officers from the task force have arrested and charged Robert J. Long, and we have charged him with 9 counts of first-degree murder.
Bobby Joe Long's arrest came with the help of a young girl, a teenager, who he kidnapped. Now, she got away, and then she helped lead detectives to the serial killer.
But how many more would he have killed had it not been for the one victim who escaped him?
November 4th, 1984, Bobby Joe Long released me. I promised myself I would never live as a victim. Bobby Joe Long, thank you. Thank you for choosing me instead of another 17-year-old little girl.
Lisa worked for years as a sheriff's deputy. The one that got away is now the protector.
I know not on my watch will I let any child get hurt. And if they do, I'm going to be their voice and I'm going to be their advocate. I aspirated myself a long time ago to make it my obligation to be the voices of the women's lives who took too soon. Today, as I stand before God, the victims, and the families of the victims, I vow to carry on and be their voice. In memory and honor of the victims, Artis Wick, Lana Long, Michelle Denise Sims, Chanel Williams, Elizabeth Loudenbach, Karen Disfriend, Vicki Elliott, Kimberly Hops, Virginia Johnson, and Kimberly Swan. I didn't want to take the abuse I went through and carry it on in my life. I deserved to treat myself better than that. I deserved it. Once I broke those chains and that bondage I was in, I was able to see that I can make something, take something negative, all the negativity in my life, and turn it something positive and grow from that. And each and every day, still today, I grow. To me, it's a lifetime journey of healing. And it's just phenomenal. Love life to the fullest. I had a second chance, and I'm going to use it wisely.
That's crazy. Yeah, this is an incredible story. Like, man. The crazy thing is, if this rapist wouldn't have chosen her, maybe she would be dead, because she was, trying, thinking about suicide. So it's yeah. So, to begin with, towards everyone thinking about suicide, just realize sometimes it's just the place where you're in, the way you're thinking. It's not, it's just change anything. Change where you're living, change where you're going, change your mindset. Go for a walk, do something else, which can change your mindset. Because sometimes those small things can break you out of the chain of depression. Of course, there are a lot of different ways of depression, a lot of different things, it's not, maybe sometimes it's the way how you eat, there are a lot of things involved, but still, if it's your own thinking, which is breaking you down, you need to change anything. Doesn't matter what you do. Change something. Go for a walk, go to the gym, change your job, go wash your clothing, go take more showers. It doesn't matter what you change anything, because that could maybe change your way of thinking. And the interesting part, I need to find it back, of course, is the part, because he released her.
Tighten my jaw so it would be a little loose. Everything that I saw, hear, touch, smell.
Okay, because I'm looking towards the part.
I just listen.
Here.
Recent breakup, he was getting back at women in general. And I played at his heartstrings. I just listen. I can be your girlfriend. We don't have to tell anybody how we met. You seem like a pretty nice guy. I had to show he had control and that I respected him, no matter what. I
think what she did there, so I think the serial killer, or I'm sorry, the serial rapist and the killer as well, he hated women in general. So he wanted, to hurt and kill and, do the most horrendous stuff to women. But the moment she started to talk and showed compassion and niceness, he did not any longer see her as a woman. He saw her as an individual. And he did not hate the individual because he didn't know the individual. He hated the woman. But the moment it's like an ocean. Maybe not an ocean, let's say it's like a trees. It's a lot of trees and you want to cut down all the trees because you hate the trees. But the moment you look at one tree and it's so beautiful and so, you know, so nice and so good, then, you know, you don't, or maybe I should say it wrong, you want to kill the forest. I did the wrong analogy. It's a forest and you want to kill all the forest. But because you want to kill the forest, you don't see the trees. The trees don't exist. The only thing you see is the forest. You don't see the trees. So in the moment, you know, you start chopping all the trees down. And the only thing you're thinking about is the forest. You don't think about the trees. You're just chopping down the forest, the forest, the forest. But the moment you chop, you're trying to chop down another tree and you look at the tree and you just see how beautiful it is and how compassionate and how nice it is, then it's not any longer a forest. It is a tree. And then you see what it is, and then your hatred for the forest is still there, but the hatred for the tree has never been there. And the moment you see it's a tree instead of a forest, then you can't do it no longer. Because you don't, you know, he doesn't hate the tree, he hates the forest. He hates what the forest represents. And what it represents to him is his failure of being successful with women. And I think that's the same thing what happened here. So his failure with women, you know, created hate towards women in general. But the moment you had this lady show compassion and being, you know, nice to him, it broke down. It showed that it's a human, and that's the thing what he did not see. He just saw women and evil. But the moment she showed niceness, it was not any longer evil and a woman, it was a human. And he didn't hate humans, how strange that might sound. So then that's why he couldn't kill her.
Slip, no, I would have been dead.
And that's when he said, no, I can't keep you. He told me to get some rest, get some sleep. It'd be over in a little while.
Yeah. Right, I think that's it. Yeah, tell me what you think about it. It's a tough subject, of course. And you know, tell me if you enjoyed it.